It's Business Today, Good Friday edition. Good evening. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Joram Ssonko with Winnie Williams and Akochi on sign language. First, let's have a look at our top stories.
In Business Today, Kampala registers a slow start to business. Low traffic dominates early hours leading to Easter holiday as downtown maintains schedule. Motorists express mixed reactions as overspeeding is set to attract up to 200 million euro and Finance Ministry anticipate extra revenue. And Yara East Africa passes out over 500 youth in agribusiness as Kenya government commits to empower youth through Hustler Fund.
And right now, kicking it off now is that Kampala is opening up for the Easter holidays. On this Good Friday, opening up the Easter holiday, Kampala started on a slow note with low traffic across usually heavy London roads in the capital. The traders community in downtown, meanwhile, maintained the usual schedule, but continued low revenue as compared to previously. That has been confirmed today. We have more details in this report.
It's exactly 10 a.m. and I'm standing here at the Yusuf Relay Road. Clearly, as we're heading for Easter holidays, Kampala has already changed from a normal heavy laden Friday to a traffic-free day, implying perhaps less productivity for the day and less work for most people. This and more is what we're going to be bringing to you in Business Today as we interact with the business community to understand how their day went, the Good Friday, as we head for Easter celebrations or holidays.
Okay, atenga sawa zino mbade mva koze ngoye zange mva kwerongosaako nakayingirawo sawa zino kati.
I see staying at home is useless. I have to come to work and see if I'll find anything to eat. We have families to take care of.
Hey, kati mbani nakujjako kukubo mfunayo kemfunayo akatonotono.
This Easter period is different. We are wondering. Uganda just changed in the past. Those days people would have already bought stuff for Easter, but now it's even hard to get a single customer.
The
Uganda of the past was a little bit better, but to get a customer to buy is even more difficult for them lately. Ugandans no longer have money. Our relatives have even left the country, and we no longer hear from them, all because of search for greener pastures.
I came out to work despite it being a public holiday because I have to provide for my children.
For the business community here in downtown, it's business as usual. Perhaps you could even say that the need for money is even bigger. The biggest challenge that we ascertained here is that the people are not making enough sales that they would in the previous Easter periods. A person that would make around 100,000 is only able to make 50,000. The blame, of course, is on government for failing to put or produce or even produce a conducive environment for these people here to trade. And this is all we're able to gather for you in Business Today. Thank you very much. I'm Rona Nahabwe.
Reckless drivers doesn't seem to be a better one in the near future, as the Ministry of Finance on behalf of the government have suggested amending the Traffic and Road Safety Act to increase from the existing 200,000 Ugandan shillings to 2 million Ugandan shillings penalty that will be imposed on drivers who are found guilty for overspeeding. Pedison Mombere has details.
As Ugandans are making their way to the villages in preparation for Easter Sunday, government has proposed to increase fines of motorists found liable of overspeeding from the current 200,000 to 2 million. Speaking to journalist Farida Nambima, the traffic police spokesperson noted that some drivers do not even respect road signage, meaning that this proposed fine will as well cost them.
Violation of traffic direction. People don't respect the road signages and road markings. People drive in one way. The traffic flow is supposed to move this side, for you come from that side. And you ram into oncoming traffic and you die. Then we have sudden entrance from the roadside. Most people don't take caution in joining the main roads. So if you're coming from the side road and you're coming to join the main road, it is a must to stop. So these people entered the roads abruptly and we lost people. Sudden turning. Some people on our roads don't even indicate where they are going. Some of them only indicate when they reach where they are going off the roads.
According to Uganda Police 2022 annual crime report, the number of fatal crashes increased by 16.9% from 3,757 in 2021 to 3,901 in 2022, while the same increment was recorded in the number of serious crashes that increased from 9,017 in 2021 to 10,776 in 2022.
Government is planning to increase the fine of overspeeding from 200,000 to 2 million in a way of curbing overspeeding that has led to high rate of accidents in the country. But according to the motorists and bus drivers and border cyclists, they are saying that accidents will never end. What government should focus on is to make sure that roads are worked on and training all these drivers to make sure that they don't go overspeeding and reduce on the rates of accidents in the country.
Government should focus on enlarging roads and make sure that the drivers are trained and imposing these fines.
Government has therefore suggested inserting a new clause on the speed limit in Section 119A in Principal Act to give powers to the Minister of Works and Transport to make regulations prescribe speed limits in respect of all public roads or sections of public roads. A person who fails to comply with the speed limit set under subsection 1 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 100 currency points or imprisonment not exceeding 3 years, or both. According to Arnold Kwesgwa, this is the best course of action, although he expressed worry about corrupt officers on road who frequently release violating drivers after receiving bribes.
Such fines must be there because some drivers are reckless. Officers must stop being corrupt by releasing violent drivers after taking bribes.
The proposed modification come at a time when there is a growing alarm about the death on the Uganda's roads. According to the Uganda Police December 2022 annual crime report, there were 20,394 crashes reported in 2022, an increase of 17% from 17,443 crashes reported in 2021. According to the Minister of Finance, the 28.831 trillion will translate into an increase of revenues to a tune of 2.580 trillion, up from 25.550 trillion. URA is projected to collect in financial year 2022-2023. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, today, members of parliament have rejected and even convinced the president not to sign the post-Cotonou agreement on basis that it involves some items which conflict with the laws of Uganda. Samla Hanifa reports.
While presenting to Parliament, Dr. Samuel Opio informed legislators that after reading through the post-Cotonou agreement, they discovered that it has protocols that are against cultural norms of Uganda, and so he implored Parliament to reject it.
We have what we know as the post-Cotonou agreement. I need to bring to the attention of Parliament that this is an agreement on which the basis for creation of the ACP, which is the Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States, and the European Parliament is based on, and it will be valid for the next 20 years. However, as Uganda, we noticed that there were several provisions that support LGBTQ rights. There are also several provisions that were calling for the promotion of LGBT rights within our education curriculum. Uganda, as a country, we stood firm, and you all recall our Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, in that video that went viral, stood firm and said we cannot exchange our values for European aid. I request that we appreciate on that. And we made it very clear that African values are not for sale
Post-Cotonou was a commercial deal, according to Honorable Saro Pendi, who attended the Interparliamentary Conference, but they were surprised when concerns like human rights and LGBTQ rights were sneaked in. She urged the President not to proceed with signing this document.
This SCP-EU agreement originally was a trade agreement between the African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries with the EU, and also issues promoting democracy. How now they smuggle in human rights issues is a subject of discussion, right, Honorable Speaker. We have just concluded the first Interparliamentary Conference on African, attended by members of Parliament and delegates from 23 countries. And this conference discussed this SCP-EU agreement. And Your Excellency, the delegates did meet His Excellency, the President. And our call to the President was not to sign, because the speed at which this SCP-EU agreement was moving was terrific. Because the ministers initialed, and what was coming through is that we have no role.
The legislators have cautioned the Attorney General's office and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to brief Parliament on any future international treaties so that they can be thoroughly evaluated before signing.
We, actually the representatives of people and also the executive that is mandated to execute, takes extra care before signing. There are several agreements we have signed that we have failed to comply with, even those about environment, even those about human rights, even those about the business, the trade agreements we have made. Either we fail to comply with them because we don't have commitment to them and we just sign as an occasion, or we make losses in them because we didn't take extra care. So it's extremely important that we study them, not only as the representatives of people, but also the technocrats, because in some areas could be technical and we need some technical people to study them.
When we go out, members, to defend government, many times depending on the subject matter, they can pick you at the airport, give you drinks when you go to your hotel, give you food and you get food poisoning and you won't even go for those meetings. Then when the signing comes up, you're not there. They can even give you money for shopping and you don't appear there. So if somebody goes and they are not patriotic enough, they'll get diverted. We have seen that happening when I was in Ministry of Justice, who were very cautious about it. You see people on delegations going and they are saying, the car that came for us at the airport, they have offered this, they have offered this.
Of course, it is important that our teams that are involved in this, and the lead teams being the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it is important that they scrutinize some of these protocols well before signing. Of course, you know, some of them and many of them are actually good for us, but it is only prudent enough that we really understand what is embedded in those protocols before we sign it. And that is why we have a fully-fledged support office guiding government on various legal and international obligations through the Attorney General's Chamber.
On the other hand, the Deputy Speaker has come out strong on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs against signing agreements on behalf of the nation without the President's approval.
I raised this issue with the President. I held a meeting with the President and the Attorney General on some issues, so I raised it with him. And he was shocked when I gave him the details that we had found. And the Attorney General had not looked at this document, but we had committed our country due to the processes which are set in Brussels. So the President has also agreed no international agreement should be signed, and I hope he will give a very clear directive. No international agreement should be signed without clearance of the President, because the President will consult the Attorney General. The Minister of Foreign Affairs cannot go and commit Uganda on an agreement.
The above agreement is expected to surface on the floor of Parliament next week for discussion before any signing is done. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, in order to expand their businesses, more than 500 young people from the MSME sector graduated as stockists, distributors, and retailers in the agribusiness sector in the inaugural cohort. Now, the Yara East Africa program, which has been operating in Kenya, that is since 1995, was inspired by the MSME Academy, which was established in 1965 to help bargaining of farmers in Europe as well. Now, Naomi Mutumba has details for this.
In Kenya, youth account for over 65% of the population, with almost 500,000 youth entering the labor market annually. The agriculture sector has potential to offer the youth decent and self-employment, as well as the opportunity to participate as member owners of their businesses. The Kenyan government has identified 11 value chains as priority, which will create employment through exports and provide food security, including coffee, tea, fishing, edible oil, cotton, rice, maize, dairy, and beef.
Good people, when you hear your name, please walk a bit faster.
Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development CS, Simon Chelugui, says the knowledge gained by the youth will go a long way in providing the much-needed skills and management competence in operating the current business environment and create jobs as well as create an impact on local communities. Speaking in Mombasa at the Yara graduation ceremony, the Cabinet Secretary noted that the government is supporting small businesses to access affordable credit through the Hustler Fund. The fund offers between 500 and 50,000 Kenyan shillings at an interest rate of 8% per annum, thus offering affordable credit. E-commerce is to be introduced through this Hustlers Fund.
In view of this, the government launched the Hustler Fund and a flagship program of the government manifesto that will go a long way in realizing financial inclusion for millions of Kenyans who would otherwise be excluded from the mainstream financial system. The personal finance product, which offers between 500 shillings and 50,000 at an interest rate of 8% per annum, has in over 5 months since its launch provided affordable credit to 19 million Kenyans.
The Kenyan government acknowledges that micro, small and medium enterprises contribute significantly to the country's economy, where the sector accounts for 85% of non-farm jobs. However, MSMEs have limited access to credit, thus the government is looking forward to offering MSMEs financing at reasonable rates. Unlike 75% of Uganda's micro, small and medium enterprises, nearly 75% of these in Uganda have unfulfilled financing needs.
Not one company or government can do it alone. Right. So we need to be creative on how we enable these value chains. Capital is a challenge for farmers, but also for small businesses. How we create spaces along with governments. First, governments can create a conducive environment and unlock potential funding, and we can play our part by supporting these initiatives, educating, training, development and knowledge transfer.
We are preparing the way and the foundation for rural economic transformation. Our government is serious in creating jobs at the last mile. So what you see here today is that the 500 stockists that are graduating today are agents of change. What they have learned, they will put in practice to be able to touch millions of farmers, not only to improve their productivity, which, as we have all heard, we need to get food secure. So that's the first foundation. Secondly, the skills they have learned, they will grow their businesses. So they will create employment opportunities within their own ecosystem as MSMEs.
And to believe our MSMEs, who are part and parcel of my ministry's mandates, have now gained knowledge, not just on farm inputs, but also on managing their small enterprises. As a government, we will ride on this initiative and keep on pushing further and learning and building lessons from this initiative.
Kenya's 7.4 million MSMEs hold the key to job creation and greater productivity. However, they urgently need greater access to credit to scale up operations, raise their productivity, and deliver shared prosperity for Kenyans. According to data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, for the quarter that concluded in December, 2.1 million people out of the total of 2.97 million are currently unemployed, and the only way to address this is by providing funding for MSMEs. Naomi Mutumba, Business Today.
All right, we now take a look at the land ownership concerns in the country. Uganda's over time had challenges with land ownership, with each of the land tenure systems posing its own threats and challenges to the citizens. Moreover, with 80% of the land held under unregistered customary tenure, there has been continuous disputes and conflicts among individuals as well as family members, struggling for land ownership as well as occupancy. Now, Norbert Ndiamhachi did compile this report.
In Kenya, youth account for over 65% of the population, with almost 500,000 youth entering the labor market annually. The agriculture sector has potential to offer the youth decent and self-employment, as well as the opportunity to participate as member owners of their businesses. The Kenyan government has identified 11 value chains as priority, which will create employment through exports and provide food security, including coffee, tea, fishing, edible oil, cotton, rice, maize, dairy, and beef.
Good people, when you hear your name, please walk a bit faster.
Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development CS, Ssonko, says the knowledge gained by the youth will go a long way in providing the much-needed skills and management competence in operating the current business environment and create jobs as well as create an impact on local communities. Speaking in Mombasa at the Yara graduation ceremony, the Cabinet Secretary noted that the government is supporting small businesses to access affordable credit through the Hustler Fund. The fund offers between 550,000 Kenyan shillings at an interest rate of 8% per annum, thus offering affordable credit. E-commerce is to be introduced through this Hustlers Fund.
In view of this, the government launched the Hustler Fund and a flagship program of the government manifesto that will go a long way in realizing financial inclusion for millions of Kenyans who would otherwise be excluded from the mainstream financial system. The personal finance product, which offers between 500 shillings and 50,000 at an interest rate of 8% per annum, has in over 5 months since its launch provided affordable credit to 19 million Kenyans.
The Kenyan government acknowledges that micro, small and medium enterprises contribute significantly to the country's economy, where the sector accounts for 85% of non-farm jobs. However, MSMEs have limited access to credit, thus the government is looking forward to offering MSMEs financing at reasonable rates. Unlike 75% of Uganda's micro, small and medium enterprises, nearly 75% of these in Uganda have unfulfilled financing needs.
Not one company or government can do it alone. Right. So we need to be creative on how we enable these value chains. Capital is a challenge for farmers, but also for small businesses. How we create spaces along with governments. First, governments can create a conducive environment and unlock potential funding, and we can play our part by supporting these initiatives, educating, training, development and knowledge transfer.
We are preparing the way and the foundation for rural economic transformation. Our government is serious in creating jobs at the last mile. So what you see here today is that the 500 stockists that are graduating today are agents of change. What they have learned, they will put in practice to be able to touch millions of farmers, not only to improve their productivity, which, as we have all heard, we need to get food secure. So that's the first foundation. Secondly, the skills they have learned, they will grow their businesses. So they will create employment opportunities within their own ecosystem as MSMEs.
And to believe our MSMEs, who are part and parcel of my ministry's mandates, have now gained knowledge, not just on farm inputs.
All right, now apologies for that as we now head to the report regarding land ownership concerns, where Uganda has over time had challenges with land ownership, with each of the land tenure systems posing its own threats and challenges to the people. Now, moreover, with 80% of the land held under unregistered customary tenure, there have been continuous disputes, conflicts among individuals and families in the country. Now, struggling for land ownership and occupancy being one of the reasons as to why these fights continue. Now, Norbert Ndiamhachi compiled this report.
The International Institute of Rural Reconstruction, in partnership with the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, UN Habitat, the Global Land Tool Network, and the Kabale District Local Government, have embarked on the free registration of customary land for local communities in Kabale District under the program Land at Scale that is aiming at securing land rights for small land owners. Kabale District is on record for registering most land conflicts due to the customary land tenure system there. Incidents of land grabbing are very common since it's very hard to prove the land ownership. When a husband wants to sell land and the wife refuses, it causes clashing, leading to land disputes in the family.
Shanga
nore bitaka litu di fragmented di domo bucweka bwingi.
Our land is fragmented in small pieces, which makes it hard for people to divide it in equal shares, causing conflicts.
LC3 chairperson, Buhara Sub-County Kabale District, Joseph Bariam Jura, says that there are reduced cases of land-related domestic violence due to the sensitization in different communities. Family members have greatly participated in the customary land registration and acquisition of land titles. He also noted that customary land title is cases of boundary disputes.
On the first phase, we sensitized the communities, and we were not knowing that, but now the second phase, the people understood the use of this customary land title. First and foremost, they were saying that the government is going to tax them, but now they have understood that no tax except you pay 10,000.
Senior Fiscal Planner Emmanuel reveals that the communities in Kabale district have positively welcomed the idea of registering their land with the government, with 80% already registered under the scheme.
Issues where, especially the ladies who lose their husbands, suddenly when the wills have not yet been registered, you find most of the ladies and the wives and their children get kicked out of the family land simply because they don't have any documentation to show that they are part of the land once the head of the family or the husband is no more. So we also have encouraged the beneficiaries to register their land, considering that they are not the only people to register.
Resident of the area Tulia Agenda also said that land conflicts have been worsened by lack of documents that would certify ownership.
Yes, we have registered again challenges. It is, fiscal planning and land registration is quite a new phenomenon. It hasn't entered the everyday message that the general Uganda people receive. So we are introducing it for the first time, and in some cases we have a bit of, time spent on convincing the people, especially where somebody knows he has an acre and you're advising them to, yes, the acre you can use it locally, but when it comes to titling, we have to leave just a few meters for the road reserve, a few meters for the river buffer, and so on and so forth.
The Institute of Rural Reconstruction introduced the first phase of the Land at Scale project in Kabale district in 2018 to increase capacity and awareness of key stakeholders on customary land registration. 2,500 households are being targeted for the mapping scheme. Nkerimana Edison revealed that 1,545 customary land registration has been secured in Kabale district in the sub-counties of Rubaya, Kamganguzi and Buhara.
When it comes to people who have benefited from the project, we have so far secured land tenure rights for more than 1,500 households, and the implementation is still ongoing.
The main purpose of us coming to this specific area of Kabale district, Buhara sub-county, was because of more land conflicts in the area, and the reason of our coming was to help people in the community secure their land.
The Ministry of Lands has undertaken a customary land registration exercise to curb rising land conflict, and according to the local leaders in Kabale district, the conflicts have also reduced. Officials in charge of the registration process have revealed that there is hope to achieve 100% land registration. Norbert Ndiamhachi, Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now Business Today does take a break, and we return with more reports. Stick around.